It's that time of year where everyone gathers their favorite squash and dresses up as your worst nightmares, like Fortnite Jonesy, the devil, or most horrific of all, a used car salesman. That had me thinking, the NES had a lot of games that drew inspiration from horror, or were just straight up horror games. Given the limitations at the time, this rarely meant the same kind of horror we know today. Back in the 8-bit era, this type of game oftentimes just had a horror theme, with the rare exceptions like Sweet Home or Clock Tower for Super Nintendo. Games like Castlevania, Monster Party, or Ghosts and Goblins had traditional monsters from myth and film like ghosts, zombies, vampires, werewolves, or Satan, while also having a darker atmosphere. Among these, we also have one that stands out above the rest for its use of horror and gore to make an unforgettable experience. Splatterhouse. This arcade and home console classic puts you in the shoes of this Jason Voorhees looking motherfucker, Rick Taylor, who uses the power of the Hell Mask. Yeah, that's actually what it's called. To beat the shit out of everything so that he can save his girlfriend. When I say he beats the shit out of everything, I mean he gores just about any moving thing that comes in his general vicinity. This game predated other Viscera fests like Doom and was one of the earliest to get so damn brutal with it. You're cutting zombies in half, shooting slugs into dual chainsaw-handed mutants, or when all else fails, caving enemy skulls in with your bare hands. It was considered so violent at the time that it was one of the games mentioned in the famous 1990s Senate hearing on video games. I say all this to get you to understand the kind of series Splatterhouse was, because in 1989, Namco would release a title exclusively for Japanese audiences on the Famicom. Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti is essentially a parody of the Splatterhouse franchise, which is pretty apparent since Wanpaku can translate to either naughty or mischievous. It's rather interesting that this is the second Splatterhouse game to release, and the first to come to home consoles. If I had to speculate, I'd say the team that made the original Splatterhouse were making it as a loving tribute to the grimy slasher films of the 80s, while inversely making Wanpaku Graffiti as a spoof of those very same movies. All the characters are drawn in this chibi style, and it's more light-hearted to fit into this new artistic direction. It's actually pretty similar to Monster Party since it's more of a cutesy horror game. The plot still follows Rick trying to save his girlfriend, but this time, it's from a comically stupid villain, the Pumpkin King. Seriously, what better way to make sure your game is not taken too seriously than by making the main antagonist and big bad a giant magical pumpkin? In typical NES fashion, you make your way through 8 stages with a boss at the end of each until you kill the Pumpkin King and save Jennifer. Each level has some new horror trope to riff on, like Thriller in level 1 or Camp Crystal Lake in levels 4 and 5. Even when levels don't have themes relating to a horror property, they feature some sort of reference, like with the bosses in level 3. You have this chick who looks like Wednesday Addams shooting facehugger aliens out of her stomach, or a clear parallel to Cronenberg's The Fly. Other bosses will just be horror tropes like the possessed doll, Dracula, or some sort of evil grand wizard. Oh wait. Oh no. I think the most bizarre boss that I couldn't really attribute to anything is the oven that just spits out evil cooked chickens while these 2 floating knives try and stab the shit out of you. It's like, oh, do you remember that scene in Halloween 2 where Michael Myers starts pelting fucking Costco rotisserie chickens at your head while stabbing you? Like, what the fuck? Aside from the parody angle, Wanpaku Graffiti is just a fun game. It's a bit monotonous since all you're really doing is running to the right and spamming A to swing your axe, but by the time you even start to get bored with it, it's already over. Short and sweet is the best way to describe it since it's not a hard game at all. Even though the game has limited continues, you get a password at the start of every level, and they're only 4 numbers long, so you can get right back to where you got a game over at in no time at all. It has an excellent balance of being easy without becoming something that a lobotomy patient could finish. Similarly, the music is fine enough. It matches the tone that it's going for, but there's nothing in here that I would call truly amazing like some other NES soundtracks. It does the job, right? Otherwise, there's nothing really memorable. It's just kind of generic horror-y music. A lot of them are pretty short, so they can loop often, and get a bit grating, but if you're having so much trouble with this game that you're playing stages over and over for more than a couple minutes, you deserve a little auditory torture. Totally off topic, but Rick and most of the enemies have these big-ass heads, and they're just, like, fucking funny to look at. It reminds me of those stupid-ass Airheads commercials that I would see when I was a kid. Anyways, getting back on track, the game also has 2 endings, or I guess it would be one ending with a secret reference to the first Splatterhouse game. After making like Bill Burr's half-brother and Smashing Pumpkins, it'll be revealed that the entire game was actually a movie that was being filmed. It's the perfect ending for this parody spin-off, but wait. After Rick takes the mask off, it comes to life and starts freaking the fuck out. And then the game just ends on a still image with some text. I'm not kidding. It's some great comedic timing to have you think there'll be like one more boss. It's like the ending of the Thriller music video or an old Goosebumps episode where some character will like look at the screen with yellow eyes and laugh comically. However, if you collect these 2 crystal balls from this geisha and this Egyptian princess, by watching them dance, you'll get another still added to the ending. I missed the crystal ball on my first playthrough though, because I was too busy chuckling to myself after I found out you could make Rick fart during the cutscene. Seriously, you could just rip farts for like 30 seconds straight, it's hilarious. If you fill the room with too much of the noxious brap, then she'll just kick you out of the Japanese pocket dimension, and you'll get the standard ending after defeating the Pumpkin King, where Rick and Jennifer live happily ever after. Or at least according to the game they do. If you're looking for a fun little game to play this Halloween, then I'd recommend Splatterhouse Mischievous Graffiti wholeheartedly. And while you're at it, check out the other Splatterhouse games too. You can find them in, places. Do not emulate. The Megacorpse will find you and drink your blood.